This is the Becoming Muslim podcast at untoislam.com, the show that helps people convert to Islam with hosts from the US, UK, and Australia.
I think that New Beginnings is the first organization in the UK. It does the things that it does. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we're witnessing really now. It's the more experienced converts who've been through the trials and tribulations that are taking the forefront and leading these type of organizations. They got that figure that 2/3 of people who convert are women. It may be more now, it may be less, I don't know. But from our experience, it seems to be more, even though we're not just focused on the UK, we're global. But 90% of our service users are women. Speaking about issues that are relevant to conversion. So one of the shows we did was, recommended reading. What books should, somebody who's converted to Islam focus on first, which is very, very useful because there's so much out there and it can be quite confusing. We've had a discussion about marriage and do's and don'ts of marriage. We've had discussions about coming out of the closet, how to tell your family that you've accepted Islam and converted to Islam. So they don't become confused later on in their journey. So if we get them off to a good start, they'll feel much more comfortable later on in their journey.
Welcome to the Becoming Muslim podcast at ontoislam.com. This is a place where you can find information on the topic of converting to Islam. Today we have a special guest. His name is Shaykh Bilal Brown. He's the managing director of beginnings.org.uk. The slogan for his organization is "Bright beginnings have bright endings." So welcome to the show, Shaykh Bilal.
Thanks for having me, Adee. And nice to speak to you.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. So it's going to be interesting today. Your organization looks very interesting. It's set up mainly for people who are thinking about converting to Islam and also for new converts. So can you tell us a little bit about your organization?
Yes. So we are based in the UK, as our website address suggests. The name of the organization is New Beginnings, and we launched last year in 2020 around April time, the end of April, and most of our activities have been online due to the pandemic. And our team is made up of mostly converts to Islam who understand the conversion experience, and our team have decades of experience in assisting converts to Islam and working with people who have newly converted to Islam especially. So what we offer is a holistic package for people, firstly people who are interested in just learning more about Islam. They may not have converted to Islam, but they may just be interested in learning more about Islam. We've had a lot of people in that situation join our courses and benefit from our courses as well. So we're open to everybody really to come and learn. But our main focus is on those people who have newly converted to Islam. And we offer a holistic package. So we look at the pastoral care for new converts to Islam. And we look at their educational needs, as well. And we also look at their well-being needs. So we have qualified counselors and well-being services that they can use if they need to. And we have, social activities, social events, e-parties, get-togethers, and we also give out gift packs, but only for the UK. So people in the UK and convert to Islam, they can receive a gift pack from us as well, and a certificate for their conversion. And we do other services as well, which you can see on our website.
Yeah, that sounds great. So we're going to get into a lot of those things that you mentioned there. I'm just going to read a section here from your website on the About Us page. It says, New Beginnings aims to create welcoming, non-judgmental environments and spaces, online and in person, that nurture a sound and authentic experience of Islam for those that are either converts to Islam or they're interested in converting. So the interesting thing there that I was looking at is you mentioned the non-judgmental environments. Why do you mention that?
Yeah, so that's a very important part of our ethos. And sometimes we find that our community as Muslims, especially the religious community, sometimes it can come across as being judgmental. And people who have just converted to Islam, they need their own space to explore. They need that space to learn at their own pace. And they need that environment where people who are going through a similar experience or have been through a similar experience can assist them in that. So being non-judgmental is extremely important. We don't put any pressure on anybody, even if they haven't converted. We don't pressure anybody to convert to Islam. People who are transitioning and learning about Islam, it's important that we don't judge their behavior, and we give them the freedom to explore and just give them the support that we need. So our role as Muslims, and especially as convert care practitioners, is definitely one of the most important things is to have a non-judgmental and an open and welcoming approach to that care.
Yeah, I was reading some of the testimonials on your website as well, and that seemed to be, a common theme that the people were talking about, that it was like, friendly and, a nice sort of environment.
I'm a convert, and are you a convert as well?
Yeah, I'm a convert as well.
I'm not too
We're all converts.
Yeah, so we
Welcome.
So we know that we know what it's like. You don't know what to expect, and you have to learn everything, and so we know what it's like. And the last thing you want is people to put pressure on you, or you feel that you're going to be judged, or if you make a mistake, people might chastise you, or so we know as converts that's the last thing that we need. So that's why we mentioned that.
Yeah, people can be really shy when they first come, because it's so, it's scary. It's a whole new ball game, and you're meeting all these weird people. I remember when I first converted, I was always saying to myself, it's okay. You're meeting all of these different types of people, and they're all normal, and just try to relax into it.
Yeah, it can be very daunting, especially when you don't know what to expect. So that is a very important part of our ethos.
Now I'm just going back to what I was reading before, and there was a portion there that says that nurtures a sound and authentic experience of Islam. So can you go into a bit about the authentic experience of Islam? What does this mean, and why is it important?
Yeah, so authentic experience of Islam is one without any pretense, and one that isn't superficial and just focused on the outward aspects of Islam. So, and one that is based on the Quran and based on the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and what the classical scholars have mentioned, traditional jurists as well. So it's important that when somebody converts to Islam, that they are able to distinguish between what is Islam and what is culture, or what is just chit chat, or people's own assumptions about the religion, maybe from their culture or from some other teachings they may have had that may be erroneous. So we think that's very important, to give the new Muslim the tools to be able to distinguish between Islam, authentic Islam, which is based on sound teachings and sound principles from the Quran and from the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad, from the traditions and the sayings of the Prophet Muhammad, so they don't become confused later on in their journey. So if we get them off to a good start, then they'll feel much more comfortable later on in their journey, and that's the idea behind that.
Yeah, you mentioned cultural Islam as opposed to authentic traditional Islam. So what is cultural Islam and why is it dangerous?
Yeah, so sometimes people, because they are brought up in Muslim families or they live in Muslim countries, they may mistake their practices, common practices or common ideas, as being a part of Islam itself, when sometimes it's not actually a fundamental part of Islam. It's just that it's part of your cultural practice. So that happens, and there is, sometimes there's folkloric Islam as well, where there's a lot of folklore involved, or passed down to families. So it's important that we, give new Muslims a sound understanding of the proper teachings of Islam that has been passed down to us via scholars. I mean, the only way to do that is to go back to Islamic scholars and back to their texts and back to basically on the Quran and the simple, fundamental teachings of the religion.
Okay, great. Thanks for explaining that. So there's, I just want to move on now. There's another bit of text on your homepage this time, and it says, I'll read it out. It says, convert care is a neglected duty and we're doing something about it. Actually, I think that's the title, one of the titles on the homepage. So how is it neglected? So you're talking about convert care as something that the converts need, and you're saying that it is a neglected duty. So can you explain how it got neglected, or why is it neglected?
Yes. So in the UK in particular, and probably a lot of Western countries, the Muslims came to those countries not with the intention really most Muslims, they came to those countries not with the intention to promote the religion of Islam, or maybe not with the expectation that people would actually be coming into Islam and choosing, the indigenous people of the countries that they go to would actually choose Islam as a way of life. So when they came to those countries, they were just concerned about, their own problems, which more than a few, and they've been concerned with just resolving their own problems, trying to get halal food and building mosques and educating their children, and safeguarding their values and so on and so on. So, looking after somebody who converts to Islam is just not in the remit of most Muslims or most Muslim organizations whatsoever. So from that sense, it's really been being neglected. And I think that New Beginnings is the first organization in the UK that it does the things that it does. We do have other organisations in the UK that focus on new Muslims or convert care that do really good work. But I think New Beginnings is the first that has this type of approach and, holistic approach, and is doing the things, the way that we are doing it with a, formal package of education. So a lot of the organizations, they just focus on the social aspect and maybe the pastoral aspect,
Right.
but not the educational aspect. Or maybe they just focus on the well-being. So there's an organization called Solace. It just focuses on well-being, and particularly women, convert women. So they're just focusing on one area, whereas New Beginnings is trying to focus on all the areas that a new convert would need.
Okay, that's great.
So the mosques and the madrasas, the religious schools, they just don't have this in mind. Why would somebody new to Islam need extra care, extra attention? So there's a misconception in our community that once somebody just says what's called the Shahada, which is a testification of faith, which enables one to enter into Islam, that's it. They become a saint. They don't need anything else, and they're perfectly fine. But it's not the case. It's like having a newborn baby. Once the baby's born, you don't just leave the baby to its own devices and neglect it. It needs nurturing. It needs proper care and attention.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. You're bringing all of the different aspects together. Like from my experience, when I converted, I just had the mosque, and that's all. There were no convert clubs or anything like that. There wasn't any internet, Facebook at the time either. So, I just did whatever the mosque were doing. If there was a lesson on, I would follow the lesson or whatever. But I didn't have a community of like-minded people. I had to fit in with the normal Muslims, So for this sort of support is great, especially for those people who are struggling.
Yeah, that's right. I had a similar experience. There wasn't anything like this when I converted. It was just the local mosques, and many of the imams didn't even speak English, to be honest with you, in my town when I converted. So it was, there were challenges.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think it's the more I look into this problem of convert care, the more I believe that if the converts, the experienced converts, if they can help the new ones, it's going to make it a lot easier. Because sometimes the people that are running the mosque, they might not know the issues that we go through. They don't have the same background as us, and so if we can mix it with actual converts that grew up like us, then it's going to be much better.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what we're witnessing really now. It's the more experienced converts who've been through the trials and tribulations that are taking the forefront and leading these type of organizations.
That's right. Like the one example I could think of is like someone converts to Islam, and then they go to the imam of the mosque, and they say, what do I do about Christmas, for example? And usually they'll just get a straight, plain answer, and it's not going to really fit in it's not going to help them, And then someone who's new to the religion will just make some sort of rash decision and start to dig their own problem. But if the new convert can get an aspect from multiple experienced converts, then you're going to get a better idea of how to deal with these challenges. And this Christmas thing's just one of them. There's so many.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. And sometimes the heritage Muslims or non-convert Muslims, like you said, they can cause more damage by giving an inexperienced opinion in some matters.
Yeah.
So if they have that community where they can speak about issues that arise, speak to other people who've been through the same thing, then it does make life a lot easier. And that's another point as well. The family. You spoke about Christmas and family gatherings. Taking the family of the new Muslim into consideration is extremely important as well. So it's not just the person converting, but they're converting and they've got their family to think about. It might be husband and wife as well. They may be already be married. They may have children. That can have an impact. So those things are neglected as well.
That's right. And that was my next topic here. I was going to read a portion from the homepage again. And so I'll read it now. It says, every day in the UK, at least one person converts to Islam. The conversion is usually met with elation from the Muslim community, but there is often little done to take care of the complex needs that they may have, or at times a lack of understanding of what those needs are. So we were just talking about those complex needs, right? And there's so many of them. There's an interesting part of this portion here that I read was when someone converts to Islam and they're met with elation from the Muslim community. So it's like a big high, it's a big event. You convert to Islam and you feel a spiritual heightening. Everyone's really friendly and trying to help you. But then as the days go by and the weeks go by, this elation starts to decrease. And then you can find yourself very lonely. So have you experienced this with, you might have probably experienced it yourself, but do you get many people talking about this after the initial elation? Then there's this feeling lonely.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, definitely that. And everybody's happy. This person's become Muslim, but there isn't much else after that that is in place to support them. And a big indicator of that is at Eid. So at Eid time, which is Muslim festival, yearly festival, we find that a lot of converts, they may experience loneliness and depression, because they don't have their family to go to and celebrate Eid. Obviously there's the Eid prayer, and that's about it really. Whereas the wider Muslim community, they have their families to go to, all of their friends to celebrate with, but the convert doesn't really have that. Some converts, they do, the ones that are more integrated, but those that are not fully integrated, or people don't know they've converted, or they may be shy, or they may be a bit apprehensive, they don't really know anybody in the community, so that is one example where that happens. So with UNS, we do see a lot of converts experiencing that phenomena, that there's that first joy and elation, and then there's nothing to follow it up with.
Yeah, so there's a lot of activities that you guys are offering. We'll get into them. I want to go through the list of them. But first, there's more here from the homepage that I would like to read. It says, that's where we come in. So we were talking about the conversion and then the lack of understanding. And then the next sentence says, that's where we come in. With a diverse team made up mostly of converts from diverse backgrounds, we have the knowledge and experience to offer a holistic package in order to ensure the smooth transition of the convert into the wider Muslim community. So holistic there. What do you mean by holistic package?
Holistic is what we mentioned, that we look at all of the needs of the convert to Islam, and we have a high maintenance convert and there's a low maintenance convert. Everybody loves the low maintenance convert. They might be stable in their education and work. No family issues. They've studied Islam well. They just get on with it. They don't need any. They need a little support from the community. But most converts, I think, more in the high maintenance category. So there may be people who've converted in prison. They've come out of prison. There may be people who have poor mental health that needs, attending to. Maybe people who are suffering from social issues, unemployment, or struggling with marriage, or the immigration issues. We've had converts with immigration issues as well. So all of these things need to be taken into account. So if we're not dealing with those issues, then trying to educate them about Islam and make them feel comfortable in Islam becomes more difficult. So we have to look at all aspects, whether it's the well-being or of the convert, or the social aspect as well, like we mentioned, eradicating that feeling of loneliness, and definitely the educational needs and pastoral care of new converts.
Yeah, that's cool. That's great. And then it says, we strive to meet these needs in a way that truly appreciates a person's circumstances, whilst understanding the importance of preserving one's individual and cultural identity. So we talked about the cultural problems, cultural Islam at the start. And then we've been talking about preserving one's individual identity. Also here, on your mission, you've got your mission and approach. It says that convert care in the UK it's been much neglected for decades. The number of converts in Islam in the UK is growing, with 2/3 of them being women. So why do you think most of the converts are women?
It's quite bizarre. We just don't know, and that those figures are from over a decade ago. I think that those figures, there were some studies done in the UK, and they got that figure that 2/3 of people who convert are women. But it may be more now. It may be less. I don't know. But from our experience, it seems to be more. Even though we're not just focused on the UK, we're global. But 90% of our service users are women. 90%, which is phenomenal. Discrepancy, really. Is it because men are just not accessing the online activities, or we don't know, but there are a lot more women converting to Islam, which may surprise some people.
We find the same thing here. Maybe, as well on our podcast. Mostly the people we interview, the ones that want to talk, mainly are women. It'll be like 80%. The men just don't seem to want to get involved with that. And and you mentioned that there's a lot of women in the UK. And it's strange that after the stereotype that women, the way that women are treated in Islam, but actually all of these women are coming to Islam and benefiting.
Yeah, it's quite amazing, actually, that there are all these negative stereotypes and misconceptions. I think the misconceptions may be quite easily eradicated about the treatment of women in Islam, because they do have it much better than the men, to be honest with you. And maybe that's an appeal to those women, or maybe they have more compassion. Women generally have a lot more compassion and openness, in their hearts, and that's an important part of our religion, and they're able to accept it more readily than males are. I don't know. Allah knows best.
You mentioned that the women have it
And
better off than the men. In what ways do you see that?
in Islam, yeah, in the rules of Islam, rules of maintenance, for example, in Islam, a woman, she never ever has to contribute a penny to her upkeep ever. So either her father will be looking after her, paying for food, clothing, and shelter, or her husband will, or her brothers will. She never ever, any money that she makes, that's her own. She can keep it, do whatever she wants with it. When they're menstruating, they don't have to pray or fast. So they are very well looked after.
Yeah.
Women according to the
one
rules
thing that
of
comes
Islam.
to mind
I'm not speaking about what happens in Muslim countries. There may be abuses to women that happen by Muslims, just like there are, abuses by those people who aren't Muslim to women. And there may be oppression that happens. I'm not speaking about that. I'm speaking about, the rights that Islam has given to women.
Yeah.
They were given the right to inheritance way before women in Western countries were given any right to inherit, for example.
Yeah, one thing that comes to mind is that when a woman converts to Islam and starts wearing the hijab, her life changes. And every woman that I've interviewed has been, that they talk in such a relieved way that the hijab just changed everything for me.
Yeah. So that can be a challenge for convert women as well. But
that's
right. They do feel a positive benefit because the society is based on, the society in the West in particular. It's all based on keeping up the Joneses and one's appearance, and we see that with social media. Who's looking the best and who's wearing the best clothing, and who's got the best bodies, and people showing off, and this ostentation, and it's all of that. And what the hijab does, it just removes it all. It just removes it. Everybody's equal now. Nobody can look at that woman's what we would consider as nakedness. That's not a thing that we should be concerned with. It's about your relationship with God. So it's not about, like the Messenger of Allah said in a narration. He said, Allah doesn't look at your bodies and your physical outward appearances. Rather, He looks at your hearts. He looks at your actions. So He looks at your intentions and your actions. This is what Allah is concerned with, not our outward physical appearances.
Yeah, so the hardest part though is having to actually put the hijab on and just to decide that you want to wear it. This is the hardest part. So with organizations like with yours, Beginnings, then this will make it a lot easier, because you can talk to people, and you can hang out with people who are like, putting the hijab on for the first time, this sort of thing. So, it just makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and, we've had that happening. So when a new convert Muslim woman decides to wear the hijab, she can, just speak to one of the other people in the community, or the other converts, and ask them about their experiences, and so it's quite good in that sense.
Yeah, so I'm looking now at some of the activities there that you guys are offering, and it looks quite good. I'll just read through them, and then hopefully we can discuss them more in detail. So I won't read them all, but the ones that I did note down was you're offering social events and yearly retreats and monthly social activities and sporting activities. So that's on the social aspect of things. And then number 2, you're offering learning and classes, weekly classes, where you can learn about Islam and all the other important things that you need to know about becoming Muslim. And then number 3, you've got monthly discussions. Number 4, you've got a buddying program, that's very good. That could be useful. And then number 5, you've got support and well-being activities. And number 6, you've got the monthly podcasts where people can, listen to what you guys are talking about. So let's have a look at the first one. You were talking about it's the social events, the yearly retreats, the monthly socials, and the sporting activities. Can you tell me a bit about these?
Yeah, it's been hampered because of COVID, and people being locked down and restriction of movement. But the first major event we did was an Eid party after the Eid, after the Hajj Eid, which is Eid al-Adha. So that was the first major event that we did, which was only for converts and their families. So you had maybe 200 people attend that, and a lot of positive feedback. But we do plan to have trips to important sites in the UK, and possibly trips abroad, or trips to perform Umrah, which is a lesser pilgrimage to Mecca, and just maybe other parts of the Muslim world, to give them that experience. So all of these things are in the pipeline, and we'll be conducting them very soon. But we'll always provide the 2 Eid parties, because like I said, there's not much for new Muslims when it comes to Eid. So we always provide that, and we always do something online as well. So not everybody is able to attend, but we always make sure that we do something online at the time of Eid for people to get together.
Yeah, it was a pity about the timing with COVID and stuff and all the lockdowns. It would have been nice to have all of these activities for you guys. So did you tell me about how you moved a lot of it online?
Yeah, well, when we actually launched, it was the time of lockdown. So we began all of our activities online, and we just continued with that. So the Eid parties we did online. Obviously, the classes they were online anyway, and all the well-being, and counselling that was done online as well. In a way, it's changed our approach a little bit as well. It's changed our approach, and we're doing a lot more things online now, and continuing to do those that we probably wouldn't have done if it wasn't for the pandemic. So in a way, it's been sort of a blessing for us.
Yeah. Did you experience many people from outside of UK joining in?
Yes, and that's the other thing. Our main focus was the UK, and really it still is. But we had a lot of reception from people from all over the world. People from Australia were attending classes. So it was like morning time there, but evening time for us. So they were getting up at 7 a.m. to attend our classes and listen in. People from Italy, from Portugal, from Spain, from South America. We have students from the US, from Canada, from the Czech Republic. We had 2 women from the Czech Republic. He said there's literally no Muslims where we live. There's no mosques. There's no Muslims. We've just converted to Islam. So for them, our services is all they have. So it's been quite amazing in that respect.
That's great. So tell me about the classes now, or the weekly classes and everything that you're teaching everyone about Islam there.
Yeah, so the weekly classes are called Firm Foundations, which is based on the verse in the Quran, Ar-Rasikhuna fil Ilm. Those who are firmly, grounded in knowledge. In one of the chapters of the Quran, Al Imran. So Allah speaks about those who are firmly grounded in knowledge. So it's about giving people those firm foundations, those firm bases of knowledge, so it can make their journey a lot easier. So we have a level 1 and we have a level 2. In level 1, we focus on belief. So we'll go through all the articles of belief and discuss that in detail, and spirituality as well. So we speak about spiritual diseases and how to cure them. Things like envy and jealousy and greed and hatred. And we focus on, another module focuses on the prayer. So the prayer is not straightforward to learn in Islam. And, some people, they want to pray 5 times a day as well. So the 10-week course covers all the rules of the prayer. And the final module is just basic literacy in Islam, learning Arabic phrases and learning how to pronounce the words in the prayer, like the chapter Al-Fatiha, the opening chapter of the Quran. Try to teach them that in Arabic. In level 2, which runs concurrently, so in level 2, they go deeper into the prayer, and we teach them about different types of prayers, like the Eid prayer, what to do when you're traveling, what to do when you're sick, wiping over leather socks, and the funeral prayers and so on, and funeral rites. And another module focuses on the understanding of the Quran and a bit more spirituality as well, and dealing with aspects of the heart and how to purify diseases of the heart. And another module is hadith. So we go through selected hadith and explain those hadith that we found most relevant to people who are new to Islam. And we also touch on hadith terminology as well, and how hadith have been collected over the years, so they have a general understanding. Hadith, what we mean by hadith, are the sayings and the actions and the approvals of the Prophet Muhammad that have been recorded in the text by Islamic scholars and the companions of the Prophet Muhammad. So we touch on that, and we do a bit more Arabic literacy, where we focus on actually trying to recite the Quran and recite the Quranic Arabic. So they go through that all in level 2. We also have monthly sessions. So we think the biography of the Prophet Muhammad is very important as well. And that is covered once a month in a monthly session over 12 months, and then repeated. So that's it. And,
so what's the format for the classes?
All of the classes are live and conducted over Zoom online. And all of the classes are recorded as well. So students who are unable to attend, like some students that are working in the evenings when we have our classes, they can catch up with the recordings. We actually had one student who, finished the entire course just by listening to the recordings, because he was always working in the evening.
Right.
He was a radio presenter and he was always working in the evening. So they're all live and they're all recorded as well.
So if you just followed the live sessions, how many live sessions are there a week?
So it's a 10-week course, both levels are 10 weeks. And in level 1, we have the prayer module. which is about 50 minutes to an hour on Monday evening. So that's at 7 p.m. on Monday evening in the UK. And then on Wednesday for level 1 is belief and spirituality. That's again at 7 p.m. And on Thursday, they'll focus on the Islamic literacy and learning the words of the prayer and common phrases that Muslims use. Then level 2, so there are 3 modules for level 1. So it will be 3 classes a week. However, we say to people, if you're able to attend all 3 classes and just attend 1, just focus on what you need most at that time. So maybe somebody will do the belief and spirituality, and then when the course restarts again after 10 weeks, they'll focus on the prayer, and then they'll focus on the other module. And some people they attend all of them. And then for level 2, we have 4 modules, so there are 4 classes a week.
Yeah, that sounds like a good approach. So it's quite flexible.
Yeah, it's important that we keep it very flexible, and we even encourage people to repeat the course again, just to solidify that knowledge and not to rush through it. Sometimes as converts we want to learn everything at once and just race through everything, but we don't encourage people to do that. We encourage people just to take it slowly and make sure that what you learn, you know it well, and don't rush. Don't worry about having to repeat the course again.
So is it just yourself teaching the lessons?
No, we have qualified teachers who to teach their respective modules. So I only teach on level 2 on Monday evening. So I just teach the prayer module, and our other teachers you can see on the website. If you go to the Firm Foundations course, we've got Hafiz of the Quran who teaches the Arabic module, and so we have the best people teaching what they're best at for each module.
Yeah, I'll put all the links to your website in the show notes. So if anyone wants to check it out, you can find the links down there. Let's move on now to the buddying program. So what's that one all about?
So the budding program is sometimes converts to Islam, they're apprehensive about what can I say about joining the new community. It might be daunting for them. They might need that just somebody to hold their hand, and it's just somebody to help them along the way. It's not a mentor. It's just somebody that's there with them, who's been through the process. Somebody they can give a call if they need, and somebody just to check in on them as well to see how they're doing. So some converts, they need just that bit of extra support, and just a helping hand and a friend, and so that they don't feel that they're alone in their journey. So we offer the budding system where a trained person will buddy up with somebody who's new to Islam if they request it. We've had people that are not converted as well, so people might just be interested in Islam, but they've asked to have a buddy as well. So we offer that as well.
Okay, and do you have any chat groups where people can communicate and get instant responses?
Yes. So we have groups on Telegram. We have a new beginnings group on Telegram. So people who attend our courses, once they attend our courses, then we open that group to them and they're allowed to access that group, but it's not really open to the public. It's more for people who have attended the Firm Foundations course. And then afterwards, you just want to keep in touch with the rest of the community. So we have that in place. Yeah.
Okay, so what about the people who are thinking about converting to Islam? They're not ready to take the courses yet. They're still just thinking about converting and they want help. How do you deal with these people?
Usually, we ask them to get in touch with us. So they can email us, they can contact us on Instagram or Facebook. So usually people, they'll call us or message us. Our phone number's on the website. They can use WhatsApp or Instagram to get in touch with us. And, we're always ready to help and have a chat if somebody wants to. We have a separate page as well for people who want to convert to Islam and take the Shahada, testification of faith. So that's all on a separate page. Or if they just want a certificate of conversion or confirming their Islamic faith, all of that is on a separate page on our website.
Do you have any courses that would be suitable for someone that's not Muslim yet, but they just want to learn about Islam? Or would they just go into your normal modules?
They would just go into our normal modules, but we'd probably tell them to skip the Arabic part because they don't really need that, and focus on the module called Knowing God, which speaks about belief and the spirituality. So that's what people really are interested in first and foremost. So that's the important module. So we tell people to go into that, and maybe the prayer module if they want to learn how the prayer is done. They may join the prayer module as well, but mostly it's the Knowing God, what we call the Knowing God module, that focuses on belief and aspects of spirituality. And we've had people who have completed the course, they're interested in Islam, they join the course, and after the course, then they decided to take their testimony of faith and convert to Islam after completing the course. So we've had quite a few people who have done that.
That's great. Okay, yeah. So hopefully, if anyone's interested, you can follow the links. And the second last one I want to talk about is you say that there is support and well-being. So this is ongoing encouragement and counselling, if need be, from qualified counsellors. So what's happening with this?
So we have, at the moment, I think we've got 5 qualified counsellors. 4 of them are converts to Islam themselves. So anybody who needs therapy or extra well-being support, those counsellors are available for them to access, and they can attain therapy even after they've completed our courses. It can be something ongoing, maybe that they just need one session with the counsellor, or maybe they need a few sessions, or maybe they're having marital problems as well. We've had couples with marital problems who come and use our services. So that's ongoing if they decide to undertake that therapy.
Okay, you mentioned the marital problems. What other sort of problems people going through that use your service?
Just general problems that are in every marriage, really. So they're no different to other problems in non-Muslim marriages, but that may now become a barrier to them progressing in the religion, or it may be hindering them being able to learn, or it just may be causing them a lot of stress. So we feel that it's important to offer that service.
Yeah, that's very important. It's good to have. It's really good. And also, like, the people who have been in Islam even for years, 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, they still need support as well. And without that support, they could just run, totally just give up on Islam. So this is very important.
That's right. Yeah. We have people, accessing our services that have been converts for 20 years, and they've attended our courses and benefited from our courses, and they're accessing our services. So it is open to any convert, regardless of how many years they've been converted for.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I was talking to one lady. She had been a Muslim for 6 years, and she was really, she felt like she had a very high belief, and her level of Islam was very strong. And then I talked to her a few months later, and it had turned around nearly, 180%, 180 degrees. Yeah. And she was talking about all the problems she was having, and dealing with Islam, and dealing with the hijab, and all of these things. So, it can be tough. It can be tough for some people. The life and faith and religion it's not easy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and faith isn't a given. It could be taken away from us at any time, and that's why we always ask Allah to help. We always ask Allah to allow us to die upon faith, and to die with a good ending. And it's one's journey in Islam. It fluctuates. It's up and down. It's dynamic. It's not, you're not always going to be on the high, on a spiritual high. There'll be ups and there'll be downs. So it's important that we're there when the people are in the downs.
That's great. So if anyone's having problems out there, they can just go to their web browser, and type in support for converts or something. And if they're in the UK, I'm sure that you guys will be there on the results, God willing.
Yeah. They can just put New Beginnings UK Wellbeing, and they can just email us as well.
That's right.
Or find us on Facebook or Instagram, YouTube, whatever.
Okay, Shaykh Bilal. So the last thing I want to talk about is your monthly podcast, and it says you have riveting discussions for converts by converts. So can you tell us about what's happening there?
Yeah. So the monthly podcast was just another area that we thought was good to widen our widen our approach and accessibility. So they were run by two convert sisters, the podcasts, and they will have monthly guests on speaking about issues that are relevant to conversion. So one of the shows we did was recommended reading. What books should somebody who's converted to Islam focus on first, which is very, very useful, because there's so much out there, and it can be quite confusing. We've had a discussion about marriage and do's and don'ts of marriage. We've had discussions about coming out of the closet, how to tell your family that you've accepted Islam and converted to Islam. So we just find that it's another medium that people can benefit. It's not everybody can access the lessons or YouTube video. It's just another type of approach that we've used. We have about 300 downloads for each episode, roughly. Most listeners are from the UK or in the US. Get quite a lot of listeners from the US as well.
Okay, great. So before we go, I just want to ask you now some advice for our listeners out there. Our listeners are thinking about converting to Islam, or maybe they're just new to Islam. So can you give them some advice about what they should do? Give them some action points maybe. So they're listening to this podcast and they're thinking about converting to Islam. What should they do now?
I think, definitely get in touch with us. Definitely get in touch with us, and, definitely join the Firm Foundations course if you can, and just sit and listen, especially the Knowing God module, and then take it from there, I think, and just join the community. Once you actually join the course, we do have a Telegram room just for the Firm Foundations course and the new students, so they'll be able to chat with other students that are going through a similar experience, or some may be very new to Islam as well. That will give them an better insight of what to expect. So it's important, for them to have, the right expectations before making that choice, and then it'll be easier for them to decide what to do. So that's my advice. If you can't, then start by accessing a good copy of the Quran. Start by accessing a good translation of the Quran, and speaking to Muslims in the local community as well. If they can't, access our services, which they should be able to, I don't see why they shouldn't be able to.
Yeah, that's right.
And also take it, slowly. You don't need to rush anything. Just take your time. Try to absorb everything. Make sure you understand everything, and then make a decision.
That's great. And the final thing that I'll try and get out of you is that how do you think that Islam is going to change someone's life? Just generally, how will Islam change your life?
It's definitely for the better. I don't know anybody that has converted to Islam that says Islam has made my life worse. Everybody that I've spoken to, Islam has always, been a positive impact on their life. It was for me. If you read the biography of Malcolm X, you can see what kind of impact it had on his life and how transformative it was. And if you read about the companions of the Prophet Muhammad and all the evil activities that they were engaged with, and just the Arabs at that time in general, and how it, changed them in a positive manner. It's always good. It will always, have a positive impact.
That's great. Thank you, Shaykh Bilal. So is there anything else you want to mention before we leave?
No, that's it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
May Allah bless you in everything that you're doing, and keep up the good work.
I mean, same to you guys there. Looks like you guys are doing a really good job.
Alhamdulillah. May Allah allow us to continue, and may Allah make us sincere in everything that we do.
Ameen. So to all our listeners out there, I hope you enjoyed the episode. That was another episode of Becoming Muslim at ontoislam.com. If you have any questions, you can contact us through our website. And there's also a chat group you can get onto if you need to talk to someone instantly. And we encourage you to listen to more episodes. So I'll leave you with the greeting of peace. May the peace and blessings of God be upon you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.